Time Sync is the weekly podcast to let you know what's worth sinking your time into. Head to timesyncpod.com for more information like our rating scale, show notes, social media, videos, and more. Welcome to Time Sync, the weekly podcast where we ask if it's worth your time from TV, movies, video games, and more. We rate content not on its quality, but if it's worth sinking your limited free time into on a scale of 1 to 5. 5, put it at the top of your list. 1, it's not worth your time. I'm your host and pop culture super junkie Sauce, and this week I am joined by Bradley.
I'm first? Is that what that feels like?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Technically, I'm first. And
the host always comes first, doesn't he?
That's what my wife says.
We'll ask your wife.
I beat you to it.
Oh no!
And special guest joining us this week from the Andrew Z in the Morning podcast, we have Donny P.
What's up, gentlemen? Good morning, guys. Just kidding. It's 11:19 right now. I don't know what time you guys are going to listen to it, but whenever you do, just know that we committed some time to this. We're ready to bring you the news of what you should watch.
If you happen to be listening to this in the morning, good morning.
And if it's in the afternoon, good morning, because I'm sleeping.
That's my morning.
That's called keeping it evergreen. That's some evergreen content. We got a great episode for you guys this week. This week, we're going to talk about Cruella. Oh no, I forgot to change my notes. Black Widow.
I love that movie.
And, and Fear Street.
Wait, everything's prequels nowadays. I think Oh No, I Forgot to Change My Notes is a prequel to Honey, I Blew Up the Kids.
It's a really bad prequel because it's just him figuring out how to shrink things. The whole movie. He's just
montages of
doing mathematical equations. People were like, does anything happen to this movie? At least Rick Moranis is in it.
It's real edgy stuff. But hey, welcome back, Donnie. Thanks for joining us again.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me back. I missed you guys. I really had a blast last time I was with you, and man, I'm just excited. I'm excited to talk about stuff or hear you guys talk about stuff because I have not been doing too well keeping up with movies, TV shows. There's a lot of really good stuff out there, and there's a lot of crap out there. And I don't know which is which because I haven't watched any of it. So that's why I count on you guys. So thank you for bringing me on because I did actually see Cruella in the theaters.
What?
Whoa, we'll talk about that too. Yeah, whoa. I don't know. It was it was really cool. It's like this big room with a big screen, a bunch of chairs. I think it's really going to take off.
The stocks have never been higher for the movie theaters.
Right? Yes. Oh, it was a blast, though. I'm talking popcorn. I'm talking drinks. I'm talking bathroom breaks. I'm talking popcorn.
I literally just took my kids to see Boss Baby 2, and it was literally popcorn, bathroom breaks, having to get refills because they ate all the popcorn, more bathroom breaks. So no jokes. Yes. That's the truth.
Yes, and I have a tip for you guys if you ever go to the movie theater with kids. Don't get the kid size icy because it's mostly air mixed with the ice. A kid size icy is 2 sips. It's empty. And then you got to get a refill. It's just a big pain in the butt.
It's supposed to be the size of a small child. That's a
real kid size.
That's a real kid size.
There are no children this small.
You got to believe.
Has there been anything you've seen since the last time that you've been on or watched that you might give a 5 to?
Oh, well, I don't want to. I'm going to talk about Cruella in a little bit. Let me see. Any other movies that I've seen?
Let me put you on the spot with a question I didn't prep you for.
Yeah, go ahead.
That was it.
That one. That was the one.
Oh, that was it? Well, I will tell you, I mean, I mentioned this a little bit earlier. I've been spending a little bit of time watching like 80s and 90s thrillers. Like, you know, there's something about seeing like a young to like early middle age Alec Baldwin, you know, or Michael Douglas, like in the dramatic roles and like the roles that made them like super famous. I mean, they were big before that, but like we watched Malice. I've never seen Malice all the way through. Like, have you heard the famous Malice like monologue with the God complex? Like,
no.
Oh, there's
Is
like
that
a
something I
deposition.
should know?
Yeah. So it also there's like Alec Baldwin has this like weird this scene in Malice where like he's being deposed by these lawyers and they're like, someone says, you think you have a God complex, like basically like saying that he thinks he can do no wrong. And he just goes into this huge thing about like what it took to like get to where he is. He's a surgeon, basically, like Harvard, surgery. And at the end, he's like, he goes, when your family members are praying to God that someone doesn't bleed out when they're having surgery, or that they wake up, or that they don't miscarriage when they're having their baby, who do you think they're praying to? He goes, you ask me if I have a God complex? He's like, God was in operating room 2 on November 11th, and he doesn't like being second guessed. I was like, damn. So anyways, we watched the whole movie, and it was fucking crazy.
I do realize that I do know that monologue now. Yeah.
But we watched Malice, Hand That Rocks the Cradle, A Perfect Murder, and there was one more, but A Perfect Murder was really, really good, you guys. Do you remember that one? That's Gwyneth Paltrow, Viggo Mortensen, and Michael Douglas. And I'll tell you what, that's a 5. That's on Amazon Prime. If you want to like just take it back to the 90s, I think it's late 90s. Viggo Mortensen, it's pre Lord of the Ring days. You know, he's like an artist, right? And Gwyneth Paltrow.
It isn't the one where Viggo hangs dong, is it?
Ooh,
No, no, he doesn't.
Oh,
he hangs dong in some movie. You get to see that Viggo dong if you'd like. If you're
That
into
one's
that.
a 5. Automatic.
more like a 9.
Whoa, a humble 9.
But I'm all about like there's something about I'm all about like lines that stick with you, like they're perfectly placed, they're just perfectly delivered. Michael Douglas has a couple of chilling lines in that movie, and I don't really. It's like, I know we're reviewing like new stuff, but if we're talking about something from 20 years ago, can we like spoil it? Like if we want to, is there any rules
Yes,
against
please.
that?
Please do.
Yeah, because if you don't want it spoiled, you can hit the chapter marker below and you can skip ahead.
Yeah. Oh God, I can't. There's just, let me just tell you, in the last 20
let's see
minutes.
that Michael Douglas impersonation and just hit us with it.
Yeah.
You should thank me. That's all I'm saying. Like that's how it starts. Oh my God, you guys, it's such a great line. It's worth watching the movie. Oh, and what he's doing when he's delivering it, it's some cinematic.
No, I like cinematastic.
Yeah.
There's cinematic excellence. I think I put them together. It's cinematic excellence.
Cinema excellence
up.
is when I'm in a movie.
I was gonna say cinnamon excellence is the name of a cake that I bake.
Sounds like a shot with Fireball.
You mentioned a couple movies. Well, which one specific? You're giving them all 5s, or that one specifically? Which one was it?
Perfect Murder gets a 5.
Perfect
Malice gets a 3. It's good. And then The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, that gets a 4. That one, it comes in hot. Let me just tell you that. It comes in really, really hot. The first, 8 minutes of it, you're like, what am I doing and what am I watching? Like, so many, terrible things happen to people in the first 8 minutes. Then it kind of slows down and gets into the groove of the movie.
The Hand That Rocks the Cradle sounds like the the album title for an Avenged Sevenfold album.
Yeah, so have you guys never seen this? Because this was big in the early 90s.
No.
Because
Early 90s, I was not old enough to watch
I was
these
watching
movies.
Ninja Turtles in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you a little bit. There's a couple people that the actors in the movie. There's a guy who is are you guys Seinfeld fans?
Of course.
Yeah.
George Costanza's like childhood nemesis. What's?
Oh, I was gonna say
his
Jason
name?
Alexander, real quick, and I was like, oh wait, his childhood nemesis.
He like works for his dad and like selling computers for a couple days. His like mom always asked him to be more like him. Here, I'll tell you.
Oh,
I don't remember.
No idea.
I just remember his gym teacher is his nemesis.
Well, he's in it.
Who isn't his nemesis? He has so
The
many.
star is Rebecca De Mornay, but there's like a nice little one. What you don't expect is Ernie Hudson has a nice role in it.
He did something other than Ghostbusters?
Yeah. He plays like kind of like a workman who's like a special needs type work. He's like a handyman type guy. He does a really good job, by the way. He does
Special needs was a interesting way to describe handyman.
Well, he plays a special needs.
I was going to say, I think he still has a special needs.
Oh, never mind.
I just think he also happens to be a handyman.
He does. He performs tasks that take special skills. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Ernie Hudson does great in it. That one's a 4. That one's really good. But if you're gonna watch one out of those 3, A Perfect Murder is a 5. I mean, it's a good movie. I don't want to say it's a perfect movie, but it's pretty good. It's definitely worth your watch. If you have you guys ever seen that? I mean, I know. So I love talking old school stuff with you guys. I mean, definitely check out A Perfect Murder. It's worth your time. It's really good. Michael Douglas is at his best. Gwyneth Paltrow is good, and Viggo Mortensen does a pretty good turn as a struggling artist who is stealing Michael Douglas's wife's heart away.
I think we touched on Michael Douglas a little bit last week too, because Hummer talked about Wall Street. So you're just keeping it on brand for us.
So I've never seen Wall Street either, and that was in like the titles. So I was thinking about kind of maybe keeping this thing going, like checking out some more old school stuff over the next couple of days and weeks and things.
That's really cool, because a lot of times, like, you know, a lot of stuff comes out at once. It is overwhelming for all the stuff coming out and keeping up to date with all the new TV shows and movies. It is really cool going on like a little themed like journey. Like, I'm gonna watch all the Quentin Tarantino movies, or I want to watch all these early '90s thrillers. So that is really cool. Like, yeah, I'm glad you shared that.
And all those you said were available on Amazon Prime, correct?
Yes. Yep. That's where we watched them all.
You're wearing an Amazon Prime T-shirt, I noticed.
And you signed an NDA with Amazon Prime, didn't you?
Who has live sports?
Who has live sports? Ka-ching.
So speaking of selling out to giant corporations, Donnie, you wanted to talk about Cruella.
Hummer!
Yes. So, first of all, I loved it, so I'm not going to put you in suspense on that. It was really, really good. I was trying to think of a better live-action adaptation of one of the Disney movies that I liked more than Cruella. It was very, very well done. It had a lot of different elements to it. You know, things that I didn't expect. It had some heist elements to it. Some really good cinematography, like everything, like costumes, the setting. Like, it's in 60s or 70s London, so it's very mod-ish. You remember the mod type disco dance types? Well, before disco, actually, the go-go boots type stuff, you know?
Like Austin Powers in the beginning.
Yes, 100% Austin. That's a great vibe to it. Has a really a grittier Austin Powers vibe, because then they just never leave the London scene, and it's built in the fashion world. It's in the fashion scene, so she's kind of like this Banksy type stylist. So
like a Mugatu.
Pretty sweet. 100%, exactly. 100% like a Mugatu.
British Mugatu.
What?
Female.
Nailed it. 100%. Yes, totally. And it's got this cool vibe, and because you come into this movie and you're like, how are they going to make me be interested in Cruella for 2 hours? Because she's a villain and she's pretty much an asshole. So what are they going to do with the story to make her interesting, likable, and not just a piece of crap? And they do a really good job. I'm not going to give that away, but I will say there's a very, very big twist when it comes to the dogs. I will.
They're actually cats. What a twist!
You don't have to laugh at Brad if the joke wasn't funny.
Well, I have a tag. They're both boy dogs. No.
Oh.
Anyway, so yeah, I don't want to. Like I said, I don't. I'm still learning how to review stuff without just explaining everything that happens. So I will say it's very,
Chapter 1.
very, yes, scene. It's a
Exterior.
It's foggy London evening. But I will tell you, Emma Stone does a fantastic job. Emma Thompson is amazing, and I brought my there's no video, but I did bring my Cobra Kai T-shirt out. Scorpion or Stingray. I'm sorry, Stingray from Cobra Kai.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
The movie, and he's got a
Gross.
pretty big part, and he does fantastic. Not his beard, no. But his character is amazing. His partner is amazing. Like, there's just really good turns all the way around on the acting scene. But the highlight of it for me was the music. The music was amazing. I don't know if you guys have heard much about how fantastic the score was. But not just. I mean, there's
what kind of score is it? Is it like a full orchestra, or is it like songs we know?
Rock songs that we know from the, I would say, 60s, 70s, and maybe even some 80s. They were pretty liberal with the timing of the songs, like the eras of the songs. But it wasn't just picking great songs; it was where they put them. I mean, just perfect placement of music. Like it just reminded me of being like a kid, and like you remember like when you were a kid or like a week ago when you hear a song and be like, it'd be perfect for a scene like this. You know, it was just like you were watching a movie and you would think it would take you away from like the suspension of disbelief if you're thinking about how great it is to play that song in that moment, but it only made it that much cooler. You're like, oh my God, no way they play this song right now. It couldn't be more perfect. So that was what I took away mostly from it, is I would watch the whole movie again just to hear the music. And I will tell you, like, so obviously I give it a 5. I'm giving it a 5. It's a great movie. I would say it's one of Disney's best movies in a long time. I'm not talking like non-franchise type movie, but what I consider is a really great movie is if I can sit down and watch it back to back. If I watch it and I'm like, wow, that was good, I could do it one more time. Just run it again. And I will say like something that I don't want to say I didn't like about it or that was bad or anything, but something I did notice is that it felt a little long. And I want to explain, like, when I say it felt long, it doesn't mean it was long. It's just like there was a couple of scenes towards the end where I thought it was over. And it wasn't. So it made it feel longer than it actually was, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So like, oh, okay, that was a good resolution. Oh, that was a good movie. Okay, we're going on. We're keeping going. Okay. And so then there's another. So she's tying things up, but not really all at once. And you're like, oh, I forgot about that storyline. Oh, yeah. Okay, we're going to keep going. So it did seem like it could have maybe or was wrapping up before it did. But other than that, yeah, it was great. I would say I definitely recommend seeing it. Definitely worth your time. Sink some time into Cruella.
So you're saying that if I have a list of movies that are out now, and I do have a giant list of stuff I need to see and watch and play, I need to move Cruella to the top of that because it's that good?
Well, yeah. Well, what else is on your list? Let me judge that too. But yeah,
you only gave him half the information.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. No, but yes. I mean, I don't even care what's on it. I would say it's something. I would almost even try to. Is it still at the theater? I think it's still at the theater. I would try to catch it at the theater if you can. If not, turn your sound bar up. You know, make sure everyone's awake, or you're not going to wake anybody up. Enjoy the perfect score. I mean, it's really good.
Did you watch it with your kids, you said? Yeah. Did they like it?
So, yeah. So that was another thing. I mean, so my kids are 7, 8, and 9. And any movie to sit still, not pause, not get up, it's like hard for kids to stay focused. And they did a fantastic job. In fact, everybody stayed strong. Everyone was glued to the screen the entire time, except for one of them got a little bit tired. And she just kind of chilled and maybe even took a little bit of nap at the end there. But yeah, they stayed interested the entire time. It kept their attention.
So, can I tell you what I found interesting about Cruella before? Like, I haven't seen it or anything, but like going into it, the guy they chose to direct the movie, do you know what his big 2 credits are?
No.
So he directed Lars and the Real Girl and I, Tanya. Those are his big credits that he's like acclaimed for. So like thinking those movies and being like, that's the guy we want for a Cruella de Vil adaptation was like, for me going in was like, that guy? Like, Lars and the Real Girl is about a guy trying to convince everyone else to be okay with him dating a sex doll and his own mental projection of it. And then I, Tanya is kind of like a blown up biopic of the Tanya Harding situation. And it was a little fucked up. But then I looked at some of his other credits. He has other Disney credits, which is why he's obviously on Disney's short list. But they're crap movies. He did The $1 Million Arm. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Well, no. I did see I, Tanya. I didn't see Lars and the Real Girl, but I did see I, Tanya. And
they're both so good. I, Tanya.
It had a great vibe too. Like it had a really good tone. If that, you know, so in Cruella, like from the opening scene, it just sets a tone and it holds that tone, and you're there. Like I, Tanya, you know, you really felt like you were in that world of ice skating, or in that world of her growing up in that shitty house, but. So yeah, I would tell. I didn't know that, but I can definitely see the relations there with his style.
Yeah, but it's gotten him to work with really like big name actors and actresses too. So like he knows how to manage that as well. So another program. I mean, 2 Oscar winners, and Emma Stone and Emma Thompson to have leading your movie in this case. Margot Robbie
Emma Thompson,
and I, Tanya.
What did she win her Oscar for?
I think I know she's had a few. Sense and Sensibility, obviously.
That
makes
that
sense.
gem.
She also did Saving Mr. Banks, Love Actually. I mean, the list goes on. It could have been anything. But
Harry Potter.
It's got to be Sense and Sensibility if I had to guess. Here, I can just look it up. 2 Oscars for Sense and Sensibility. Oh, I actually know a really funny story about, I think it's Sense and Sensibility, because she was a script writer on it, right? And I guess I know this from a show I watched called QI, where she lost the entire script on her computer, like right before she had to submit it. So she took it to Stephen Fry, and Stephen Fry rewrote the entire script basically from like memory, and was able to get it in on time for her. And so Stephen Fry jokes about how he deserves that Oscar and not her for writing.
That's, oh my God. I got anxiety just from listening to that story.
Yeah, like the whole file on her computer, she just like said, she has like, it was gone. It was gone.
Okay, she won for Howard's End. I've never even heard of that. Best Actress, 1992. She was nominated for Remains of the Day. Best Actress.
Oh, that's such a good movie.
Best Supporting Actress, In the Name of the Father. And then she won, let's see, she nominated for Best Actress. She won for Best Adapted Screenplay. So she must have
That's Sense and Sensibility, probably.
Yeah. The Best Adapted Screenplay for Sense and Sensibility, so.
Which Stephen Fry deserves, because he's the one that actually wrote the adaptation that got submitted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that what you were saying when I was reading it? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So I can be redundant sometimes. I say things more than once, or that have already been said.
I mean, Sense and Sensibility sounds redundant in my ears.
Hi-oh. Awesome. So, okay, yeah, definitely now I have to consider... I wasn't planning on watching it at all, but...
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't care about... I never liked 101 Dalmatians or 102 Dalmatians.
No, I forgot to say that. I'm not a really big fan. I was never really a big fan of the Dalmatians. I was more of an Aladdin guy.
But I love the Cruella de Vil song. It's so good.
Yeah, it is good.
They're like, Cruella de Vil, Cruella de Vil. If she doesn't scare you, no evil thing will. Great song. Like, killer.
Yes. It's up there with the Grinch.
Hot track.
Will you sing the whole song and I'll put it as the Easter egg at the end of the episode?
I don't think we could get the rights, man.
Disney's not listening.
You couldn't afford it.
Damn it. All right, so moving on here. Brad and I actually also got to go to the real life giant room
movie.
The movie. I'll have to send you. I'll have to send you that Vin Diesel skit so you can get what Brad's talking about. But yeah, Brad and I got to go to the movies and we saw Black Widow. So
wow,
Bradley, what did you think about Black Widow? Because I know we didn't have the same take.
I think we had pretty similar takes, though, because I thought Black Widow was excellent. It was very, very good. I do think it would have been better if it came out when it was supposed to 2 years ago, because it would have, had so much more impact. We would have felt the, goodbye to Natasha Romanoff that the movie was supposed to give. Instead, it's just kind of sandwiched in between all this amazing Marvel TV shows that we've been getting, because each one of the Marvel TV shows have been just better and better and really upping the scale, continuing to push the MCU. And then we got this kind of go back story that might have some implications going forward, but really was supposed to kind
Mr.
of
Headroom. Sorry.
What?
You froze. I feel like it's. I know we're not doing video, but you freeze and then you keep going, and it's like you look like Max Headroom. I don't know. I'm just Mr. 80s today.
Yes,
Cut all
you
this
are.
out. I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
I feel like I'm doing a show, and it's fantastic.
I feel alive.
I feel alive. Anyways, so
Sorry.
No, you're good. The big takeaway for me from Black Widow. Well, first of all, let's just put it out there that it was still a 5. We talked about this before. Everything Marvel does is a 5. You got to watch it when it comes out. Even if you're someone like me that had read the entire script, basically 3 hours before the movie, because it had been released in Australia already, and they were like, here's the whole script. And I was like, oh my god, I gotta know what is every line that's gonna be said, what's every joke before they make the jokes. I have to know. So I knew the whole time. I sat there knowing everything that was going to happen, but still enjoyed the heck out of it.
I can picture you trying to stop yourself, one more page, and then I'm gonna let the rest be a surprise. Okay, one more page. Oh, this is too good. One more. Okay, 2 more pages. All right, one more scene. All right, Okay, I read the whole thing.
That's pretty much how it went.
Yeah, but the worst part. The worst part is in the movie theater, it's Brad going, okay, here's what's going to happen next. Here it comes. This person's going to show up. Why?
I don't do that.
You did do that.
No, all I did was right before the movie said, I know everything that's going to happen already. That's all I said.
I have made the grave mistake of trying to talk to Frank in the movie theater. Forgive me for having just 1 or 2 questions, because I know that you read the book, and I never read the book of Ready Player One, and there's a lot going on, okay?
There's a lot going on. I don't like when people talk to me in the movies. I'm only allowed to do the talking in the movies.
I know. Oh, and I saw Endgame with him.
That's why you steal his armrest, and he put him on edge the whole time, because he does.
I don't like it. It messes with me. Don't sit by Brad.
I will have 2 armrests.
You know the Leonardo DiCaprio meme from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he's pointing, like this? That's Brad the whole movie.
It's not. That's not. You're just out here accusing me of things.
I'm fine with that. He's enjoying himself, okay? You're supposed to enjoy the movie. You're not supposed to watch it with such intensity that people feel bad about themselves, all right?
The only thing I get mad about is when people clap in the movie. At
That's
the
crazy.
end.
I love that.
Oh, I hate it.
Why?
It's the same vibe as when you... Who claps when an airplane lands? Who's that for?
The autopilot.
Oh, we beat
yourself.
We beat
Everybody.
gravity. We defied
Everybody.
it. I hate it.
Yes.
Oh my god.
No, yes.
That is not the same either. Also,
It's the same vibe for me.
no.
Like when you're done at the movie and you're applauding, like, oh, the actors and the directors are all gonna fucking hear that shit from
you never know. That's
theater
where I
in
was gonna go.
Podunk, Ohio. Chris Evans
You
really
never
came
know.
in to my theater in Toledo to watch the midnight premiere of fucking Captain America. Fuck you.
He could be visiting his aunt.
yeah.
And he brought his nephew. And like,
Rousseau's are from
no,
Cleveland, bro.
I'm not gonna go. Everyone's gonna see me. You can wear a hat. You can wear a hoodie. Come on, Uncle Chris. Come on.
Uncle
and they take
Chris.
and he's like, maybe everybody hated it. Oh no, they're clapping. They loved it. So that $20 million was worth it that I took for that film. See? We want to feed them more.
Yeah.
Feed them. Feed
guy
the
gets it.
beast. Feed them.
He gets it.
No, I hate it. Anyways,
In case he wasn't sure.
can we just talk about how Florence Pugh stole that entire movie? Like, as the new widow that we're going to get going forward, she was absolutely incredible from the first scene you saw her. Took over the entire movie, was by far the best character, even though everyone else was really good. Really just overshadowed everyone with a really, really great performance and a great story from her perspective. Really excited for her going forward because that's going to be a really fun character to keep moving through the MCU. We did get really good performances from everyone else. I thought Red Guardian, David Harbour was really good. Even though we had heard from the critics, I felt like that he wasn't. Like, I thought like that was the early take on his character, was that he was not very good. He was very good, I thought. Like, there's still a lot to explore with his character. We didn't get a whole lot into it, I felt like. But from the first scene where he was an analyst in Ohio to the prison breakout where he was this, thug almost.
Spoilers.
No, that was all of the trailers, baby. All of it.
Is that character something that would be in some further Marvel stuff?
I mean, see, the spoilers. Spoiler would be to say that he lived through the movie, so we definitely could see him again.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I think our biggest takeaway between you and me, Sauce, is probably how we feel about Taskmaster. I'm on the side that I didn't think they used the character well. I'm fine with the fact that it was, a spoiler alert, I guess, a female. Like, that doesn't bother me. I thought it was great.
That's a giant spoiler.
I just said spoiler. Is that fine? Can I do it?
Maybe Donnie didn't want it spoiled.
It's not even that big a deal.
I already knew the Taskmaster was good at shutting down programs that have frozen. But other than that, I wasn't sure. The Taskmaster. It's hard to say. Taskmaster, testosterone booster. I don't know what's going on.
Like, I feel like that's what a lot of people's problem was. My problem was what they decided to do with that character, who is a decently cool kind of like sub-villain in Marvel. I had issue with what they chose to do with that character. They definitely can rectify it going forward, but it's going to take a lot of like walking back what they've already done.
I guess I'm just not a misogynist, so like if a gender swapped role doesn't affect me the same.
Christ.
Well, what did you think, Sauce? You didn't like it, or did you?
Well, I wanted Brad to get all of his points out so I could give my counterpoints.
I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry, Brad.
No, you're good. But the movie was still really entertaining. Action-packed. You really felt the action. Like, the director early on talked about how she wanted everyone to feel the fight scenes in the same way like the Bourne movies did. And she did a great job. And, like, kept a lot of things practical in shot. Made a lot of really good decisions throughout the entire feature. There was a lot of heart in the idea of family and rebuilding relationships, and there was some closure we got with a little bit more Natasha. I just think it was a little bit overshadowed in the greater scheme of Marvel with what it's sandwiched in between because of the timing. That doesn't take away from how good the movie was. I still would not ever pay $30 after my Disney Plus subscription, which I already pay for, to watch it. And I can't believe they made an extra $60 million that way, because it's disgusting.
So you gave it a 5, but you're saying that you wouldn't pay $30 to see it?
No, I would go see it in the theater again.
Because I did pay last night.
Or I would steal it like I did when I watched it a second time at one of my friend's house and we stole the movie.
Like a good American.
Yep.
Yeah, usually, admitting to felonies on a recorded media isn't the best idea.
I mean,
can I say something
come at me, bro.
About your timing quote, though?
Yeah, go for it.
Because, I know you said that, like, yes, a lot of the stuff that Marvel puts out are 5s, and a lot of it kind of hinges about its cohesiveness with everything else. So how do we break a movie down on its own? Like, how do we judge it on its own merit? Like, yeah, I know it's kind of a dumb question. So, okay, so how, like, you take the final Avengers movies, and, like, they're obviously not the same movie without the other one. So I get what you're saying, but I feel like I don't know if we can give it that much of a crutch, though, as far as the timing, because because there really hasn't been any other Avengers movies. So I get it with, like, the TV shows, but I'm just saying, how good is it on its own, I guess, is where I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, still really good, really entertaining, really well paced. It's got good heart, great acting performances. It's still really good. The biggest problem is Loki has been phenomenal. Like, on every level. Loki has just blown everything out of the water. It's been so good that I'll be like, yeah, let's talk about Black Marvel. But instead, let's talk about Loki. Can we just take a second and talk about how good Loki was? Because I want to talk about the finale of Loki with everybody, and nobody can even, like, and I don't have a lot of people I can actually, like, get deep into it with, other than Sauce. So, like, other people will start talking to me about it, and I'll be like, well, and then I have to get to a side of me that I don't like, which is really pretentious.
There's other sides?
I don't like being that way, because I like to have casual conversations with people about content like that. But I'm so deep into it that there's times when you're just like,
Have you watched Loki, Donny? Have you seen it all?
Obsessed. I started watching. I'm ashamed to say I've seen, like, the half of the first episode. I really
okay. Yeah.
And I love the Marvel content. I love the TV shows. I missed, like, the last 3 episodes of Captain America or the Winter Soldier. So yeah, I'm pretty far behind on that. And Loki, has the finale played yet? Has it been on?
Oh yeah.
When was it, last week?
Oh yeah.
It was
last Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to make sure I don't want Brad to spoil anything for you.
I won't talk about it as much as it's, like, the only thing in the world I want to talk about.
I don't get mad about spoilers. I am one of those guys that's like, I think a month is fine. If you don't catch something in a month, like, it's your fault. If you spoilers,
that's on you, bro. That's on you.
Yeah, I don't get mad about spoilers. I don't really. I mean, I'll enjoy it either way. It's totally fine.
Well, we can definitely talk about Loki, but I just want to say about Black Widow, because I agree with Brad on a lot of things. It is very good. I do think it does fine standing alone. I think we get plenty of Marvel content like Loki, like WandaVision, where it doesn't need to be Endgame every time. Endgame is a 10-year, like, conclusion of an arc.
Yeah.
Like, now we can get back to like one movie stories, or some of these one movie stories can lead into or arc into other movies. And really, and they do it in this one, you can have a standalone movie that has nothing to do with the MCU as a whole and tie it in with an after credits scene. And that's all you got to throw in there. But it taking place 2 years after we got Endgame, I think is fine. I don't think it needed to be early, because we had Spider-Man Far From Home And that was like the palate cleanser to Endgame. That was dealing with the fallout of, Tony Stark and picking up the mantle and everything there. We had that movie already. So I think this is just a refresher where we stand in the MCU. We do want to give Black Widow more of a fleshed out character and storyline, which was almost weird to see because normally you just see her like have her one-liners and kicking ass. So like to see her developed more as a character and having touching moments with her quote unquote family was like kind of weird because we had gotten none of that. I think it's interesting that Scarlett Johansson produced the movie because she wanted to make it less, she wanted to be less of a sex symbol and more of a character, yet she willingly, she purposely put all these ass shots in the movie. I'm like, well, why are you doing that then? So I thought that was funny.
You don't want to go all the way off the road. You don't want to go all the way the other way. You don't want to mash.
And they were mostly in the beginning.
Now you're just mashing it, all right?
You got to give the people what they like.
You don't want to put the baby in the bathwater, or whatever that quote is.
Yes, yeah. No, yes. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yeah,
there it is.
That's why you don't even put it in the first place.
Right.
I think Florence Pugh was phenomenal, but her character. So I always try to think about this now because there's an actual, I forget what it's called, but it's if two women are talking on screen and if they're not talking about a man who's not on screen. I forget what it's called, but it kind of reminded me of that because Florence Pugh soul identity and character and dialogue is almost 100% based on being Natasha's quote-unquote little sister.
Yeah, very much
so. Like her entire identity and character is that. So I really want to see her beyond that, which we're gonna because she's gonna come back in the Hawkeye series. She was the action was great. She was awesome. The best action though, and like the coolest moments from the movie, I think we got them all in the trailer. So other than what you get in the movie is the heart and the story and the soul. And Rachel Weisz and David Harbour were really good. I can see why critics say he wasn't that great because he didn't do a lot. Like I feel like you could have put any funny guy in that role and they would have been successful.
Yeah, he was the least fleshed out character as well. So I agree that pretty much other people could have done it, but I think he's so good. And knowing that we're going to get more of him going forward, hopefully, that I think it still made it a right call. Same with Florence Pugh. Like, her character wasn't really that fleshed out other than that little sister idea, but we know we're going to get more.
Yeah.
And she was so good at what we got. It was just a precursor to what's going to get better.
Yeah, they're 100% setting up for Thunderbolts and Young Avengers. But you wanted to talk about Loki?
That's all I want to talk about. But I feel like I can't talk about it without completely spoiling everything. Mm-hmm. And it was there are so many implications into what's going forward with the MCU. I got to put it on Donnie's rule and give it a month. I got to give everyone a month to catch up on it.
I think there's only one implication, really.
Well, there was definitely a really heavily disproven fact from what we thought we were going to get out of Wanda going forward into what we got at the end of Loki actually happening. So I would say that was the biggest implication. And then obviously there was lots of, basically the Mephisto trope that happened in WandaVision that we thought might happen to us in Loki didn't happen. We got the bad guy we thought we were going to get, if you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then go watch Loki because it's 6 episodes. You can binge it now. It barely take a day. We could probably do it in a sitting, and you probably want to because it's so good from start to finish. There really wasn't a bad moment. And Tom Hiddleston and Sophia Di Martino, whatever, her, they were
misogynist.
Oh, God damn it! They were so good together, like incredibly good together. And did you see that Chris Hemsworth actually voiced Throg?
Yeah, and there was more Throg scenes, but they got cut.
Cut Throg scenes. We'll probably get them at some point, I think.
Well, yeah, Donnie, go watch Loki. It's so good.
I will. I will.
It's really cool, like because I work. I don't know if you know Scott, who I work with, but I work with guys that aren't hardcore nerds, you know, that like don't get into this stuff as much as like we do, and it's really interesting hearing their takes. And so I always just like classify them as like the average everyday fan, and they love it. And it gets weird and crazy and off the rails, and Marvel is going places for the future franchises where everything's on the table. They can do any kind of crazy character they want, and it's fantastic. So if you don't watch any of the other series, you got to watch Loki because it's setting up the future of the Marvel universe.
Yeah, and they're fearless. That's that's the cool thing.
They've earned it.
Like you said, everything's on the table. They're fearless. It's like, we're doing this. Come along for the ride. It's gonna be a blast.
I really think what's been proven mostly throughout our Marvel experience so far, that the quality of the product is so, like, the director matters so much.
Oh yeah.
The best Marvel
and the producer.
content. Well, Kevin Feige is the head producer on all of them.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But going down the line, like, all of the ones that we think are incredible and are so worthwhile, the director is out there just killing it. And they haven't always made good directing choices. Like, the two that directed Captain Marvel, I think, are to blame with why that movie wasn't as good as it should have been. They come from
and the main actress.
They come from see. That's where we're going to disagree. I think she wasn't given a lot, man. And same with Jude Law. Like, they didn't give them a lot. The directors made a lot of bad choices throughout that movie. They came from making indie films. They weren't comic book fans. Like, that was a poor choice. Everyone else they've chosen, they will talk about these movies and these characters from the perspective of the comic book nerd. They're so invested. They make lots of really good choices throughout the movies or the TV shows. They really want to make their audience go for a ride most of the time. And it's been so huge. Yeah, it's been so huge for the going forward. So the only one I admit that I think I'm worried about Doctor Strange because of the director change. Like, it's going from Scott Derrickson, who really had a clear vision of what they wanted to do, to Sam Raimi, who has made really good movies before, but like, his Spider-Man series derailed, in my opinion, throughout the 3-movie franchise. And like,
I think that was the studio, though. With Spider-Man 3, the studio was getting too heavily involved. Even though I don't want to get into this right now. We're running out of time. I'll talk for an hour.
Right.
But so I just want, like, there is a little bit of worry going forward with Marvel, with that. The way they're breaching and branching out, that stories might start kind of disappear a little bit, that we might lose a little bit of like what has made Marvel so good. And I really hope that's not the case. I think as long as they continue to make really solid choices with their casting and with their directing choices, that's not going to happen. And I think they have continued to do that. The big problem I've seen that worries me the most, like I said, is when we've had a studio interfere with the director who's done really good content for them, and we see the second choice. I mean, we saw how bad that was for Star Wars in the last 3 movies. We saw how bad that was for the Solo movie. So, like, franchises get killed that way. So, I mean, it's not a big worry because of how good everything is. I definitely think you have to give them that platform and that they should be good. But the expectation is also incredibly high for everything they do. It's not like when they're saying even they're going to do like a Howard the Duck series, you'd be like, well, it's okay if that's bad. Like, no, it's not.
No.
We expect it to be great. It's where they are right now.
And the original Howard the Duck was really, really good. It was good.
Yeah. I think I haven't seen that as an adult. I've only
I was
watched
going
it
to say,
as a
I'm
kid.
aging myself too. Yeah, we actually threw it on like a couple years ago to watch with the kids. We're like, oh, I forgot this is not a kids movie.
No.
So, but did you guys see the trailer for Free Guy? Speaking of Marvel content, with
Ryan Reynolds and Korg.
Korg and Deadpool. That was actually really good. I mean, I watched it, had to rewind it a couple times. Like, babe, watch this line, listen to this. Watch this line, listen. This is funny. So
go watch the new Rockstar's Breakdown.
Right.
Ryan Reynolds has achieved a status of where he can do no wrong. Like, even if he's in a bad movie, he's so like self-deprecating about it that it almost makes it good because you just want to watch him in it.
Yeah, for sure. He rips on the movie like 3 times in the trailer. It's like, what are you doing? I have to see this now.
Exactly. All right, let me get to Fear Street before we run out of time here, because I definitely want to tell you guys about this. Have either of you seen Fear Street?
It's in my queue, but I haven't watched it. I'm not a big horror movie guy.
I'm not either. I don't like slasher films and the screams and the
right.
I Know What You Did Last Summers, but the concept of this is what really grabbed me. So the premise is it's based off of Goosebumps, okay? So that already is activating the nostalgia in me because I was a 90s kid. So the premise is they are taking this story and they're telling it across 3 different movies. But each movie is coming out like back to back each week. So within 3 weeks, every Friday, one of the movies is coming out. 2 movies have already come out. That's why I want to tell you about this now so you can get in on the 3rd movie before it comes out tomorrow. So it'll probably come out either a day this podcast comes out or a day after.
I would say it's after midnight, so it's probably out.
Yeah, it's probably out right now. But the premise is each movie is a different time period. So the first movie is Fear Street, 1994. And the way that they filmed it, you know how sometimes like there's a period movie, like an 80s movie where it's like so 80s, like over the top, like someone who
overdid
did it, like, yeah, like it's too 80s, like the shtick is that it's all 80s, but they don't make that mistake here. It's so 90s in a way that's subtle with the music, with the tropes of the killings, with the speech patterns and just the way that the characters say and do things. It's very, very 90s. You could tell it was made by people who just are in their 30s, like, they were 90s kids. It will hit you so hard in the nostalgia if you grew up in the 90s. That it was executed perfectly. I'm having a hard time thinking of like a different period piece that was executed so well.
Sense and Sensibility.
Goldbergs.
I wanted you to say nostalgia zone so bad, so I could have said, "Oh, is that located next to the upper dorsimus?" That's all I wanted, and you walked away from it.
But you still got it anyway.
Because that's how I do. That's my nostalgia zone.
Yes.
So. The premise of the movie is that there's like a town. There's the good side and the bad side of town. There's shady side in Sunnyvale. I forget what the other side of the town is, but bad stuff keeps happening on the shady side.
Partly cloudy.
I was gonna say shady things,
but it's such a like 90s like name for like a cursed town. And there's killings going on and nobody knows why, and it's like been happening for a long time, and you start to realize there's kind of like a supernatural element going on. And so in the first movie, 1994, they do such an amazing job with character development in the movie. So like there's the over the top like asshole kids in school who you hate, that like you remember all these kids from every 90s movies, and then like throughout the movie they're like, well actually now I kind of like these characters. And then so I can't spoil anything, but the way that they subvert your expectations with character development is amazing. They get you really invested in these characters even when you don't think you should. It pays off very well.
And that's big.
Yeah, it is big. I was already drawn in from the 90s aspect of it. Like I didn't realize how bad I liked it and needed it. But then the character development just got me there even more. The first movie was the whole time I was watching with my wife, Amanda, and the whole time just like, man, this is awesome. I love it. I'm enjoying this so much right now. Like I just wanted to tell everybody to watch it. It is so well done. It's hard to get into more details without spoiling anything, which I do not want to do. The actors, there's no big names in the first one. Nobody that I recognize anyway, and I'm going through the IMDb. But what's interesting is that this 1990s is the kind of the A story of the trilogies. So the second one came out, and the second one is Fear Street 1978. So they jump back a couple years and flesh out more of other characters' backstories as to why things are happening in the town and who these characters were in the first movie, and kind of explaining more of the situation, like exactly why everything's messed up and why this is going down. The second movie, it doesn't have that 90s like awesome feel, so that's what really hooked me on the first one. But because I was hooked, I had to watch the second one, and the acting in the second one is way better. They cast way better actors. The main character, Emily Rudd, I don't think she's in anything else, but she's amazing. They casted Sadie Sink, who is the redhead in Stranger Things. She's very good in it. But most of the second place setting is like a camp, so most of the kids are younger. And Anakin Skywalker would be so thrilled to see this movie because the amount of child murders in it is just like off the walls insane. Like, he would love it. Yeah. And some of the murders like are so freaking brutal. Like, you're going to go, oh God, oh my God. But you're going to love it because they're like way over the top, but so like imagine like those like stupid, like, what's that movie where they like death keeps killing them, you know, like they cheated death.
Final Destination.
I was just about to say it.
So imagine like those stupid kind of murders, but now but being done by a killer, and with today's graphics, way more graphic. It's awesome. It's very well done. Apparently I like gore now.
I can't be the only person who won't drive behind a truck carrying trees.
Never again.
Because of Final Destination.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I immediately am like, those are going to break. Those trees are going to fucking kill me.
Yes. Yeah.
And now to spoil the third one, it's going to take place in the 1800s, and you find out its whole thing's actually been a Back to the Future trilogy remake. It's your kids,
Close.
Marty. It's your kids.
Yes. It's actually the 1600s.
Oh, well.
Is the third one.
Santa Maria.
Really?
Yes.
Do they go back that far?
They go back that far, and I'm like, well, why? I don't like. I like the 90s one fucking rocked. 70s one was cool. Like, why would I care about the 1600s? But by the end of the second movie, you're like, oh my God, the way that they're tying this all together, like, I cannot wait for this movie to come out so I can like finish everything, answer all the questions. The soundtrack, you guys, oh my God, it slaps so hard. They picked the exact perfect 90s songs, the exact perfect 70s songs, and the 70s had some of the best music ever, so like that's no easy one. But then the soundtrack for the first one in the 90s is so good. You will love it. I want you guys to watch both of them. And I don't like horror.
I'm so excited now. I am super excited to watch this now.
I want you to be.
But definitely not with the kids, though. Not with the kids.
I don't know. Maybe the oldest one.
Do your kids like watching murder and intrigue?
I mean, they love, like, Melania, my 9-year-old. She'll like go to bed to Paranormal Activity, but there's not a lot of gore in that, though. Like, she will. That's her jam. But there's no
Does she like Star Wars Episode 3? Specifically when Anakin Skywalker kills all the younglings.
So we don't see that enough on screen for that reference to fly.
Hold off.
You don't. Yeah. And it was, I was like, oh my God, they went there.
They went there. So now the real argument begins. Music from the 70s was the best. If we're going to go rock and roll, the 60s was better than the 70s.
Yeah, but like in the 70s, there was still like a lot of, popular rollover from the 60s.
And then 90s R&B, which sampled heavily from the 60s and 70s, is a pinnacle of music.
Hold on a minute. Have you ever even heard Pour Some Sugar on Me?
That's 80s. That's the 80s.
That's what I'm saying. You said 60s was the best. I said, have you ever even heard?
Do you know Def Leppard, bro? Yeah. The drummer had one arm.
Right. You know how hard that is?
Nobody's going to see that. We don't have video.
Fine. You guys saw it. That's all I needed.
Oh yeah, I gotta give this a rating. These movies like don't have the right to be as good as they are. I'm gonna also give Fear Street a 5. If you watch the first one and you're not into it, then you're not gonna watch the rest of them. But
don't watch. No, you were about to say don't watch the next one because it doesn't get better.
You are 100%. You're gonna want to watch the next one. It is so
came out all
amazing.
5s today, though. Can we just acknowledge
that's what we do. So, what do you guys think goes at the top out of all the 5s we brought?
Black Widow and Loki, then Black Widow.
No way. Definitely not Black Widow. I'm sorry. I will try it again. I did actually try to watch that last night because I knew we'd talk about it. And the girls were up, but they were like on their devices, and I tried to get them to watch it with me. I'm telling you, I started this thing at probably like 10:30. So I'm gonna give it another shot, but I haven't seen Fear Street, so I'm going with Cruella, number 1.
Still going Cruella.
Hot take. Cats don't dance.
Shoot. Boo. I think you probably already watched Black Widow. Like, it's hard to, like, of course everybody, well, okay, well, I guess Don just didn't, so that defeats my point there. Watch Fear Street. It's so good. Oh, I love that.
I'm going to watch it. I might watch it tonight.
Be careful. It's spooky.
You're going to have weird, bad dreams. You're going to have to sleep with the light in the hall on.
It's like, you know how Stranger Things... It's like Stranger Things nailed, like, the 80s genre, right? Like, they leaned into it, but not, like, over the top too hard. It's like that, but 90s. But except Stranger Things, like, it takes place in the 80s, and it definitely handles that setting well, but it's dealing with, like, concepts that are, like, modern because, you know, the upside down and this and that, so it's almost anachronistic in that way, whereas Fear Street is just straight up 90s the whole time. 90s murders, 90s lore.
There's no sci-fi.
What
90s slashers.
90s murder.
Scream.
Oh, you meant murder like tropes. I thought you meant
tropes,
just like, no, only stylized murders that happened in the 90s. Like, nobody,
you know, you had,
nobody murders people like they used to in the 90s.
Yeah, back then, people would put on Huey Lewis in the news and dance around.
They really don't, though. You got a lot more you got to consider, you know. Cell towers and...
Yeah.
5G. Now everyone's just getting sold off into modern versions of slavery and sex work. They used to just bury people in parks, man. Whatever happened?
And like very poorly, like obviously buried.
The I want to be found level of burying.
Yeah. Why did you leave the hand out?
Why did you bury them off a running trail? Like, runners go there.
Well, that is all we have time for you guys this week. Thanks for sticking around. Donnie, thanks for joining us this week. Appreciate that.
Thanks for having me, man. Had a blast.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you leave a review in the app that you're listening to below. You can check out all of our social media links on timesyncpod.com. You can find Donnie on Facebook on the Andrew Z in the Morning podcast. And we will see you guys next week.
All right, guys, now what do you really want to talk about? I totally forgot that we're not doing video, and so I'm going to stop standing up and try to show my t-shirt.
You were like, look at my shirt. Oh, crap.
Donnie has a giant check behind him, signed by Jeff Bezos.
Jeffrey Bezos.